You see, TV is power. The power to love, to pacify. And then when all eyes are glazed and all minds are jelly, power to hold the world in your fist.
Are you ready, Amelia?
Yes, I am.
Roll sound.
Welcome to Different Views, One Voice. Each week, our host, Ameliaismore, will have conversations with her guests, telling us their views on music, spirituality, politics, lifestyles, fashion, hip-hop and culture, each having different views, one voice.
What's up, everybody? I'm your host of the most, Ameliaismore. We're here live at the Universal Hip Hop Museum, celebrating women and their contribution to hip hop. You know, they say behind every great man is an even greater woman. Well, listen, this past week we have been documenting the iconic women that have been responsible for the transformation and the graduation and the evolution of hip hop. Don't call it a comeback, because this revolution is still revolutionary. It is a culture. And I'm going to say that one more time, because a lot of you don't understand. Hip-hop, the reason why it grows and expands the way it is because it's not just art. It's not just music. It's not just DJing and MCing. It's a lifestyle. A lifestyle that dedicates itself to the advancement of its community, the elevation of its community, the conversations of oppression, and how we can resolve it. Okay? So when you listen to hip-hop and the culture of hip-hop, you'll now know how to differentiate one from the other. Now, we're here today because, of course, it's Her Story Historical Month, and we are documenting it today with none other than Miss Sparky D. Now, if you don't know that history, we're going to get up with her, and she's going to talk all about it. But I wanted to stop right here and take a look at this case, because this case is all about the art. And we have an amazing artist here at the museum that selected 6 women that they did a multimedia piece. And that'll be revealed at the museum. So if you get a chance, y'all, come to the South Bronx at 610 Exterior, because this is where you can find out and learn and go back in history to continue the history today. I'm your host, Ameliaismore. More than what you bargained for. We'll be right back. And we're back. And we're with none other than Miss Renee Foster. Now, before I introduce and speak with this lovely woman, I want it to be clear that team means together everyone achieves more. And she is part of the team of the Museum of Impeccable People that are bringing our history from yesterday to today. So welcome. How are you today?
I'm well. Thank you for having me.
So talk about your position, the importance of it, and why you're so elated to be part of this revolution.
Well, as we celebrate the 50th anniversary of the culture, in my role here at the museum as Director of Communications, I think it's a great time to amplify the voices, the creativity, and the amazing influence that this culture has had over the last 50 years.
And today specifically, we're, Women's History Month, we're highlighting some of the impeccable, iconic women. Talk a little bit about that and that in particular exhibit that you have now curated.
Well, women's voices are now being centered in this culture. You look at the rise of some of the most successful rap artists, women rap artists of our current times, and they're standing on the shoulders of amazing groups of women that basically kick down the doors for them. And I love amplifying all of their voices in an intergenerational way across the culture and industries, and in places where we are finally finding our voice, expressing our truth as it reflects as hip-hop natives.
Well, tell us more information of how they can follow you, also more information about the museum itself, and what we have in store for us with this women series that you're curating.
Well, the series that you're referring to, today we're going to present Sparky D with an original mixed media portrait, fine art portrait of herself. It is a part of Hip Hop Flowers collection donated to us by fine artist, the DOT, Dorothy Wilson. And it is volume 1 and is one of 6 portraits, original mixed media portraits that are part of the museum. You'll see them in our permanent collection when we open the doors to the permanent museum in 2024. But right now, now you can visit the Revolution of Hip Hop at 610 Exterior Street in the Bronx, New York, at the Bronx Terminal Market.
Well, there you have it. We have more for you. Don't go anywhere, but I'm going to close with this. I want you to think of the many different ways you spend $20, $30, $40, $50, right? And what does it give you? It doesn't really give you much. But when you spend that same amount of money here, it gives you history. It gives you culture. It gives you purpose. It gives you the definition of you if you're living the culture of hip-hop. We'll be right back. Stay tuned for more. Peace.
So, Sparky, I asked you to come here today to officially reveal to you your original mixed media fine art portrait donated to the permanent collection of the Universal Hip Hop Museum. It is a part of the UHHM's Hip Hop Flowers Collection Volume 1 by the fine artist known as the DOT, aka Dorothy Wilson, to commemorate the final day of Women's History Month and your place in the 50-year history of hip hop. We are so honored to have you here today, and for you to see your portrait that will eventually hang in the permanent museum when it opens in 2024.
Wow. And you said something. You said the last day of the Women's Month.
Women's History Month. Today.
Women's History Month.
Today.
Yes,
is
today.
Next to the last
That's
day.
right. Yeah, but the first should be last and the last should be first. Can I hold it?
Come on now. Hold your portrait. Hold your portrait.
Wow.
Everybody, please get your photos. Take your stills.
Amazing.
This is an important moment for hip hop history. We love you.
My grandchildren, my great-grandchildren.
They will all be able to come to this museum one day and to see you immortalized in fine art.
I put Brooklyn on the map.
What's up, everybody? I'm your host, Ameliaismore, for Different Views, One Voice. Now, we are celebrating 50 years of hip-hop. How amazing is that? And we have a very special guest today. Someone who was there right from the very beginning. Someone whose knowledge and contribution actually helped pave the way for others to follow. We're talking about none other than the woman herself, Miss Sparky D. We're going to get all the 411, so you don't want to go anywhere. You want to keep it right here, because we'll be right back. What's up? And we're back with none other than the woman herself, Miss Sparky D. Welcome. How are you today?
I'm doing fine, Amelia. Thank you for having me. Nice seeing you again.
Yes, sister. It has been an amazing week, with so much celebration, it being Women's Month. And I commend you. We're going to talk about this wonderful art piece in a few minutes. But I want to start first off, not ignoring the elephant in the room. Okay. You know what I mean? You are one of the first female MCs, especially coming out of Brooklyn. Yes. What did that mean to you?
I didn't know I was the first back then, Amelia, to be honest, coming out of Brooklyn. Or would you like me to hold the mic?
No.
Okay. Definitely, I had to ask that, sis. So, I didn't know I was going to be one of the first that put Brooklyn on the map as a female MC. I was with the Playgirls at first, and they're out of Brownsville. So I want to say what's up to Moski and City Slim, Mona and Lisa, and we were the Playgirls, and we were signed to Suture Records.
We're going to get to that.
Okay.
I just wanted to know what you felt like as far as the role of being a female with all of you.
Oh, girl. Oh, my God. It was a male, dominant males that was in hip-hop. I mean, I'm talking about all the males. And one thing Big Daddy Kane said, and for me coming out of Brownsville, it didn't make me a difference because the persona I have on, being raised by the gangsters, the pimps, the drug dealers in Brownsville, Brownsville speaks for itself. Never ran, never will. So, like Melly Mel, I had to do that. So, it was amazing, just being in the mix with all the men. And Big Daddy Kane said, no matter what, his Sparky D don't care if it was a man or a female. She's coming for you. So that's the persona that I had. It didn't make a difference to me.
You know, a lot of discussion today is the role of a woman, and hip hop is always about education, right? Empowerment. What do you feel is the role of today's woman in hip hop?
I'm gonna be very honest with you, and I always tell everybody, if you don't want the truth, don't ask Sparky D. Okay, well, when it comes to education, I want to big up to Debbie D, because she's, working with the children. But I'm gonna big up myself, like Snoop Dogg and Ice-T said, I'm gonna celebrate me. Back down in Atlanta, I'm in junior high school, and Clark University, and you can go check that and stamp that. I even speak to the doctors. I have a program, Youth Against Violence, and I did the book. Remember Hooked on Phonics? I redid Hooked on Phonics, and we have a program. It's our pleasure to find your treasure within inside yourself, and they work out the book. So when it comes to education, I've been in the school since 2010 in Atlanta. So for right now, I know you said now, but instead of me bigging up others, I wanted to plug myself. When it comes to education, but I don't see no education going on. I know Roxanne Shante had Mind Over Matters, but there is none.
Exactly. And as a woman being a nurturer, right? We're nurturers. We should be nurturing a new nature of society, of hip hop, of the elevation of the female representation within this art form and multi-billion-dollar business.
And I believe that, and that's why I'm here in New York. I took a week and a half to come up to New York to get my program into the schools, to go back to Brownsville. I may not know anybody anymore because new people move in, generations change, but I'm taking it back to Brownsville, to the schools I went to, Marcus, 284, 150, to let them know, because I've been through 17 years of crack cocaine, prostitution, domestic violence, homelessness. So when you talk about Brownsville, that's what's in it. But guess what? God done it for me, God can do it for them, to teach them education, for them to read the books, to open up, because they don't talk to their parents, they don't talk to their dads, if their dads are in a home, but show an example that I used to live on the 14th floor, and you can do this and walk one step, like they say, one child at a time, no child left behind. Well, I'm going in the gutter where nobody wants to be, and to teach them how to read, so they can learn comprehension, so they can understand business. You know what I'm saying? To give them a step up, to say, look, I love you, and sometimes they just want love, and I understand, your platform of being higher, than others in hip hop, but I'm going back, Amelia. I'm going back, because you have to give back. In order to keep it, you got to give it away. You got to bless somebody.
I always say it's the slingshot law. The more you pull a slingshot back, the further the damn thing propels. So for you to go back to the roots of where you came and give back, I'm all for that. Yeah. Let's talk about your career, because it is phenomenal. I had so much fun researching this for this interview. We started at 1983.
Yes.
And then you took a break. 1990, you came back 2015, and you're kicking butt since.
Yes.
Talk a little bit about that journey, and shortly, because we're gonna go deep later. But did you realize that this was the journey? Because some people are so busy doing, they don't realize what they've done.
I'm gonna be totally honest. I never saved an album. I never saved any magazine that I was in, and I was in many of them, right on the beat, the source, and I never did. The journey that I was on was a bad journey. Okay, I was in the streets. I took everything, like no gimme Lenny, can you spares. I took whatever I want. I went from LA to VA to New York. But Amelia, in 2015, I realized everywhere I went, they were like, Sparky D, Sparky D, Sparky D. But I had to save myself, and I had to give myself to God. So I had to be first rooted and grounded in Jesus to understand the walk that God has prepared me for, or even why I was born. So it took a while to grasp. I would come back up to shows and wonder why nobody would put me on the show. Amelia, I'll be honest. Sis, every door closed, but every time they see me, they wanted me to do a 16, and I couldn't understand that. Why I am not on this show, but here I am, the Monique show when it was on TV. Oh, let Sparky D entertain the crowd. They love me entertaining, but well, ain't nobody's paying me. You know, yeah, come on, cut it out. You know, so I had to understand why. You know, but now I understand my walk. So I became a doctor. I went back to school. I became a doctor. I had to learn a lot of different things in life, and I had to learn about me. I had to know my worth. So, and I gave back to the schools. I went for free to the junior high schools, to the high schools, to Clark Atlanta University. I'm speaking everywhere. You know what I mean? Yeah.
So, you know, with this journey from 1983, you actually, when you first started, went through 3 to 4 record labels.
Yes, I did.
And what was really amazing about your journey was you actually unknowingly sparked a whole nother era. The Roxanne response era.
Yes.
Talk a little bit about that very first record with Sparky D and what possessed you to write it. You know, it was the revenge, Roxanne's revenge, but you was like, Roxanne is through.
Yes. Again, coming from Brownsville, you know the talk's fast. 1985. I was coming in 1985. Mr. Magic was playing the world. Mr. Magic Rap Attack and the world premiere. And Roxanne's Revenge came on, and her voice was cracky but very profound. It was cracky but very cute. Like, oh wow, who is that? But see, she was talking about UTFO. UTFO comes from Brooklyn. You got Sparky D come from Brooklyn, so I'm going to stand up for Brooklyn. And that's exactly what I did. So I went into the studio the next day. I think we went to Quad, and we took it to Nia Records, and the rest was history. Roxanne, Shantae, and Sparky D all over the world.
Exactly. And the first one was Kama Sutra.
Yes.
Your very first one.
Yes.
So first it was Kama Sutra, then it was Nia, but then after that you did your debut album.
Yes.
And you know what was really phenomenal about that when you talk about the beef, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because everybody looks at hip hop beef, but in actuality you two did a song together later in the Response era.
Yes,
Talk a little bit about that.
You know, actually, we still didn't like each other, and here we are in the same studio on the same mic, and we looked at each other, and Spider D was like, you better do your thing, but you cannot curse. My record label didn't want me to curse. Shantae, when she heard me talking about it, she said, you made me mad. I'll go bug out and go get retarded. And she took all the record. Do you hear me? I supposed to went next, but you know what? It worked out. We are sisters and about sisterhood, and those were the days, honey. Now, let me just say this. Mr. Magic, we did a big concert in North Carolina. Muhammad Ali against Joe Frazier. We sold out as young girls. We sold out the Coliseum. But Mr. Magic, before we went on stage, Mr. Magic, may he rest in peace, he says, look, you're Larry Bird, you're Magic Johnson. They run up and down the court, and afterwards they go get a drink. It's business. But we still was rivals.
Yeah. Well, you know what? And again, you know what people don't understand is you guys were navigating the map. This was all new. This was all first. Yes. So of course it's an emotional ride. Of course it's this whole learn through experience. And after a while you realize, this is business, and the beef really needs to be settled. Now, you are very much so a humanitarian that I learned in my research. And my one question was, did you feel that whole humanitarian aspect of your life came from your mixed parents, like one parent being white, one parent being black? Did that help you not see color, or did that make you see culture more?
I'm be very honest with you. I didn't see color, and I don't see color today, because I would go to sleep to a white mother, wake up to a black father. You see what I'm saying? And I talked about that even today. I have no aunts, no uncles, no cousins. I have nieces and nephews, and I barely see them, and I don't see them actually at all. So I took to the streets was my family, and my docuseries would explain that. So I don't see color at all. I don't.
And you know what? This is one thing that I loved about what you just said, is you took to the streets. And what a lot of people don't understand is family doesn't necessarily have to be blood. Family is the people that support you, that ride with you, that are there when you're celebrating and there when you're crying. That's family.
For sure.
So let's go back to the history. Let's go back to the start of it.
That's it.
Did your first record. Did your second record. Now it's 1988 and you're getting ready to do your solo album.
Wow.
What went through your head like, this is me now? This is not me with a posse. This is not me battling. This is me expressing me.
You know, actually, when I did that album, I was pregnant with my first daughter, and her name is Special. So shout out to my first. Her name is Special. Doing this album was amazing because I was like, wow, I'm doing this whole album. You know, always wanted to go overseas. I'm like, oh, this is going to the UK. You know, I'm going to be all over the world. But it was good, and it's still selling in UK and all over the internet. But just sadly, B-Boy Records done it. Never got paid, not a dime.
Yeah, and you know what's really amazing about that is so many of the artists in your era are in the same seat. You know, a lot to be said to all you independent artists out there to understand that publishing and writing rights is yours from the very beginning. And don't give it away unless you get paid. And even when you give it away, save some for yourself. Give them some, and you keep the rest, because it's forever.
Because you never know. They may play your song in a movie, in a commercial, and you get paid.
Exactly.
Yes.
So a lot like Dress, Daz, all of them are getting their rights back. Is that something that you will be entertaining?
Yes, actually, I'm looking into it now. I want everything back. And with paper and without paper, after 5 years, I own it all. I'm 57. How dare you? I'm taking it. Take me to court now.
You spoke earlier about education, and you went back to college later on in life. Why was that so important?
I'm be very honest with you, because I knew I had greatness inside of me. And I had to do something. I couldn't get in. Not that I couldn't get in. I decided when I got off drugs, you know, T.I. was just coming out, and I moved to Atlanta, and everybody was coming out. I could have showed the green eyes and the pretty shape back then, and I could have went and say, hey, I'm Sparky D. But I decided to go to school. I decided to better myself. You know, my kids, I had young kids then, and to see their mom go back to school, that would allow them to finish school. So I thank and praise God that they did. And I had many mentors at Clark University. Many doctors were my mentors. And just like Tony Wesley Wave, even now, he's my producer. I know you didn't access, but he's my producer doing my docuseries, but he taught me how to live in the gray. Nice. It's very important, you know, to go in, and I'm a doctor now and learning different things, but to learn how to live a doctor and to learn how to live in the gray. And it took a long time for me to learn how to live in the gray. So I thank and praise God for that.
You know, that led right into my next question. You speak a lot about God. I'm somebody that's humongous, like very spiritual. That journey, you know, we always talk about pulling ourselves out the mud, and we all go through it, especially as we get older because of ageism and everything else that this society does to us as we mature. How did you pull yourself out the mud? Because somebody out there needs to know.
You know, I'll be very honest. I had my head down. I was pregnant with my daughter. My last daughter, she'll be 21 June 14th. Big up to you, Nene. My husband was laying on the couch. And I looked at him, I said, do you have a quarter? And my daughter was in the pouch. You know, those things. And I said to my husband, I need a quarter. And he looked at me. And I went outside, and I looked up to the sky. And I said, God, you got so much greatness inside of me. Why am I here in Hopewell? Why am I here in Hopewell, Hope for well? And I fell to my knees. And just that instant, God took the taste out my mouth. And I went back to Atlanta. I was in Hopewell, and I told Spider D. Remember Spider D? Exactly. Yes, he was taking care of our daughter and son. And I had one bag with Vernisha and Zach. Zach was 3, Vernisha was 1 year old. And I had one bag, and I left Virginia, and I never returned. So I had to better myself. I had to understand who I was and what purpose that God brought me here on earth. So that's what I did, and I love to give it back. So that's why I'm here, doing what God will have me to do, uplifting, encouraging, and telling someone else you could do it. Pick your right hand up and pat your own self on the back.
That's an amazing story. And so for you sisters out there, or anybody that's suffering from any type of abuse, understand you can. you can. Now, I want to take it to something that was a tidbit that I got that I was like, what? She's a battle rapper. What? A little birdie told me, and it was written in the books, that you wanted to be on Broadway for West Side Story. What?
After his finger is numb. But I always wanted to be Maria in West Side Story. I love West Side Story. Before I became an MC, I was a dancer. Oh, I toured up in Brownsville, y'all. But I always wanted to perform on Broadway. And that's what I wanted to do. I always wanted to be a part of West Side Story.
And what was it about West Side Story that captivated you? Because, again, it was gangs and all of that, and that was part of the environment at that day. But what specifically?
It was the dancing. It was the way they were performing. They were dancing all over the stage, and they had, they commanded the crowd. And that's just what I love. I love to dance.
Well, we're about to wrap it up. There's just a couple of more questions because you are just such an amazing study. I had so much fun. I felt like I was traveling through the journey of hip hop, just watching how you progressed and elevated and just transformed and reformed and just kept on doing it. But there was a very interesting commentation that was made by a Mr. David Jeffrey. And he said, when he reviewed your first album, he said that there's little doubt that Missy Elliott's sure delivery style has roots in Sparky D's pointed blasts, like the way you delivered and everything else. How many female MCs, or just MCs overall, do you feel your style and your career inspired?
I'm be very honest with you. Again, you have to see the docuseries. It's to be sold, not told. So you have to come see it. And there's so many in there that tells you that. But I believe most of them came from my tree. You had to hear Sparky D to get that roughness. So again, don't put nobody in my seat. Put me in the seat because I'm still living. Amen. Call me.
So we're going to leave it with the gospel. Right? And this whole journey that you're doing, educating people, the goodness of God. Yes. Why is that so important to you?
Because the journey God had me go on. All these children, they're partying now. I know it's a different generation and it may be a different drug, but the devil doesn't have no new tricks. VIP room, very important people. All the women getting dressed, taking their clothes off. They go in the VIP room. Now you may get oxycodone and fentanyl and cocaine, but 17 years of crack cocaine and prostitution, domestic violence, and homelessness, they need to know that is out there. And if I went through it, I went through it for you, so you don't have to go through it. You understand what I'm saying? I had more private than a Jesus. I had more drugs than a pharmaceutical. Listen. That's why it's very important, so I could tell them. Back in the days, we had a commercial to say, just say no. Just say no.
Yep, exactly. And say yes to God, because he will definitely lead your steps once you finally surrender. I'm testimony to it. Last question. And congratulations on your art piece. This is fantastic. And we have a little excerpt from that we'll show in the interview afterwards. But advice and mentorship, going from a she to a CEO. What advice could you get? That's my last question.
Always stay focused. Always remember God has your back like a jacket. Know who you are and whose you are, and don't take no for an answer. Never give up. Always remember you are who God called you to be. Peace.
Well, there you have it. I'm your host at the most, Ameliaismore. You're watching Different Views. One voice. This woman gave you different views. Please listen to her voice because she's been there and done it. And if you're trying to do it, learn from others first. And those mistakes will be less. You heard it from more. Till next time, let your voice be heard. Peace.